Hello Team FD and welcome back to Winners and Losers, where you're joining us for specifically the Losers segment. We've already chalked off our winners, haven't we? So go and watch the previous episode of Winners and Losers if you've not already. Otherwise it'll be an odd place to join us. But on this episode, we're going to hone in on a transfer that has gone horribly wrong, and maybe some others as well. And that is Pedro Porro to Spurs, because we are hearing rumours this morning that the deal has broke down, despite the player giving it the old Ruben Neves after the League Cup final, you know, waving goodbye to the fans. Yeah. That has happened, but apparently it's deal off. And this is a player you've done a fair amount of reading on. You covered him on We Need to Talk. We covered him a little bit on Sunday Vibes. Can you give us your thoughts and feelings and maybe outline the situation for the people at home?
Yeah, well, it's an interesting one, isn't it? We woke up this morning to the David Ornstein, the Orn bomb of the move is off. Fabrizio has subsequently said it might still be on. Okay. There's a few varying reports that Tottenham hope to kind of get it back on track. It's fallen apart. It seems like Sporting have changed terms at the last minute. David Ornstein claiming he's absolutely distraught about not getting this move. It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because this is a player who is perfect for Conte. I think he's genuinely sensational in that right wing-back role, a game changer for Tottenham, like I said on Sunday Vibes, and I think he would get them top four. I think he's that good of a wing-back, you know. So I think it's 11 assists so far this season, one of the most dynamic attacking wing-backs in European football right now, still a great age at 23 as well. But there is a big but that hovers over this whole transfer, in my opinion, that if Conte doesn't sign a contract, you have another £45 million asset that might not fit into a certain system. Like, this is a player who is being signed for Conte. Let's have it absolutely right. And Conte might not be there very long. So I think it's slightly muddled up thinking. I think if this is the player that gets Conte to sign the contract, fine. But I don't think it's a total disaster if this doesn't happen, because I just don't think Conte is going to sign the contract.
Yeah, I think it's a really valid point, because, and this isn't to say he can't become a top-level fullback, but when we haven't seen it, looked at his numbers closely, he's very specifically a wing-back.
Absolutely. Sporting haven't played a back four since 2020. They play consistently in a back three under Ruben Amorim since he's taken over. Yep. Every game, people were like, oh, he has played in a back four. He's played in a back four about 4 times in cup games for Sporting.
And while, you know, the current right-backs that Tottenham have are highly upgradable, all 3 of them. Yeah. Tottenham could also just play Jed Spence and probably be marginally better as a result. But Conte clearly sticking to his guns in that regard and won't give him the minutes. You know, rumours that he's going out on loan. But yeah, the next manager wants is to be stuck with a £50 million player who's a defensive liability playing in a back four.
The issue here, though, is that, you know, it seems like it's got so close to the line. I'd imagine large amounts of planning from Conte has gone into how does Porro fit in? How do we adapt our shape now that Porro is here, because it was so close to happening?
And they also might be in the sort of territory where if it doesn't happen, then a new deal for Conte completely off the table.
Exactly. This is the sort of thing that could tip Conte over the edge, where you miss out on a player that he has planned long term for in his... All of his January work has gone into Pedro Porro, and then the day before deadline day, the move falls apart. I could see this really tipping Conte over the edge. Yeah,
and I think if you're Levy right now, you want to keep Conte.
Absolutely.
At current, so he's probably going to try and appease him. Let's see if they can renegotiate terms, because it was the structure of the payment that became the sticking point, right? Maybe Sporting wanted more up front. Don't really want to speculate on that. But we'll see. It looks dead in the water, but can Levy resurrect it? Let's move on, anyway, to other deals of this nature, of this ilk, that have sort of died on their arse, so to speak. The first being Zaniolo to Bournemouth.
Shock horror. I didn't want to play for Bournemouth. No disrespect to Bournemouth, but this was never going to happen, was it? It was a pie in the sky thinking, going for the bid. I mean, it's ambitious, it's fun. If you're a Bournemouth fan, I'm sure you were buzzing, but Zaniolo was never saying yes. And that's a simple fact.
Yeah, and he's just really made a rod for his own back, because returning to Roma firmly off the cards. Jose Mourinho saying this morning that, unfortunately, he is staying with us. So it looks like he's going to be ostracised, training with the reserves sort of vibe, doesn't it? And that is because Zaniolo told Mourinho prior to turning down Bournemouth that he doesn't want to play for Roma anymore and that he doesn't even want to train with the team. This is the guy that scored the winning goal against Feyenoord in the Europa League Conference last season. His relationship with Jose should be sound, but it's not. This transfer window has ruined it, apparently, and he's featured in most of Roma's games this season, not to great effect. His numbers are terrible, by the way. I think only a couple of goals under his belt in league play. But yeah, he's rubbed the fans up the wrong way too. A banner was installed outside the Colosseum that read "traitor" and "without honour." So no going back on that front either.
It's all gone wrong, mate. It's all gone really
He wanted
wrong.
to go to AC Milan. That looks like it's off the cards now. So, yeah, all gone Pete Tong for Zaniolo. Bournemouth fans, let us know in the comments below. Are you upset that this move is seemingly not taking place now? And on the subject of not taking place, let's talk Caicedo to Arsenal, because news obviously emerged this morning that they went back with an improved bid for the player after having a £60 million bid rejected. Yeah. Firstly, I mean, how do you feel about his concerted efforts to get out of the club? And then what do you think of the fee?
I think that £70 million will be kind of laughed away by Brighton. And not that it's a derisory amount of money, because it's clearly a huge fee for a player that they've paid £5 million for a couple of years ago. But they are in an extremely powerful position. He's under contract to 2025 with an optional extra year to take it to 2026. They are fully aware that in the summer they are going to have a bidding war on their hands with Caicedo, because multiple teams need central midfielders. You think United, you think Liverpool, you think Chelsea, you think Arsenal as well. So everybody's going to want Caicedo in the summer. They are definitely in a push for European football right now, Brighton. They are easily good enough to get in one of those Europa League spots. They are still in the FA Cup, which is a winnable trophy, given most of the top teams are out, other than you'd think United, City, Tottenham, then probably Brighton are the favourites to win it. So it's a very winnable trophy, and Caicedo is one of the few players in this Brighton squad I don't feel like there's direct, definite cover for immediately. If you took Caicedo out, I think there is a little bit of a hole, and I think because of all those reasons, they're going to price him at close to 100 million. And there's just no way Arsenal are going to come in at 100 million in January. It is not going to happen. I don't have a huge issue with him. He's kicked up a bit of a stink, but it's nothing major, is it? It's just agent nonsense. And I think Brighton have been really smart with their handling by saying to him, okay, you put that statement out, you're going home now. Go home, you can come back on February the 1st. It takes all the pressure off the situation. It takes all the power out of his hands to be able to be like, well, I'm not coming into training. Those headlines are immediately eradicated. Smart by Brighton. They hold all the cards. I don't think this is going to happen.
Fair enof. What do you lot at home think of the Caicedo situation? Arsenal fans, are you devastated? Is this exactly what you need? Or do you think you've avoided an overpay? Like I said, let us know in the comments below. Maybe worth just touching upon Ryan Cherki to PSG. That move looks like it's not going to happen after Aulas, the president of Lyon, described their bid as insulting. Ryan Cherki's still only 19, by the way. He's consistently, in the limited amount of minutes he's got, been one of Europe's best dribblers. That's always been his metric that has popped. A very prodigious young talent, and PSG are doing a little bit of a Chelsea in that sense. They are trying to hoover up some of the best talent on the continent from like 17, 18 onwards, but it does not appear they're getting their mitts on Ryan Cherki, who's of course been with Lyon since 2010. I think only got 10 goals to his name in 3 or 4 seasons, so hasn't exactly been like impactful in their first team, but looks like he has all the talent in the world. Yeah, that's sort of my last deal on that front, but I'm sure there is many that will flame out tomorrow. What deals do you think aren't going to make it over the line? Gut instinct. Let us know in the comments. And that's us on Winners and Losers for today, isn't it? So if you enjoyed this video, hit like, subscribe to the channel with notifications on if you're not subscribed already. We'd love to have you. And yeah, like I said, hit us up in the comments. We will be in them. And that's it. Goodbye.